Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the Black Book Today. My name is Sam McKee, joined by Bob Hollywood Hayden, and we are standing in front of the Farm Show Complex here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, where for the 70th straight year, we'll see the annual Standardbred Horse Sales Company yearling auction. And Bob, going into the first session, one of the big storylines is the first crop of the Horse of the Year, the pacing superstar Rock and Roll Hanover, and on the trotting side, really not all that much competition.
Now, Rock and Roll Hanover was probably the most anticipated Horse of the Year on the pacing side to have yearlings since Art's place in '92 and Cam's car truck back in '94. The first crop stage is basically all to himself. He's got 57 in, so right now he's getting the microphone and he's got to go with it. Classic Photo has 22 in. There are only two first crop trotting sires in the entire sale. Ken Workington's the other. Classic Photo's main rival on the racetrack was Vivid Photo. Doesn't have to worry about him here. He's a gelding.
One of the other themes that I think we'll see this year as well, three stallions that are no longer with us, but yet their yearlings will be in high demand.
Yeah, 146 combined yearlings from Art's Place, Western Hanover, and Winsong's Legacy. We lost one this year, last year, and the year before. I think it's going to place a premium on the pricing.
Well, we're looking forward to this year's sale. We're also looking forward to talking to some of the major players in the industry for different viewpoints, opinions, and thoughts on our business. We hope you enjoy the Black Book Today.
We're joined by Murray Brown from Hanover Shoe Farms and the sales company here, and also prominent owner has been added to his bio. Murray, first things first, congratulations up front, Annika, winning the Goldsmith Maid.
Thank you. And I must correct you. My granddaughter gets very upset when she gets called
Annika.
Annika. It's Annika.
Annika. Okay, it's Annika. Where's that picture there? You have a picture? Let's take a look at
Yeah.
that. There we go. This is taken at Woodbine in the winner's circle for the Goldsmith Maid, and we'll see her in the Breeders' Crown. Okay, now the sale. How much time does it take to get ready for this week at Harrisburg?
Well, we pretty much start in January of the preceding January. We send out preference letters to our consigners. We get lists of yearlings that are to be nominated. We eliminate some based on pedigrees or what we feel are the right choices for us. And then I hit the road usually beginning in mid-April, and I look at all of them and try to determine where they should go in the sale and eliminate the few that might not be physically acceptable. But it's a long process. It occupies pretty much 10 months of the year.
Can a good horse, great horse, come from anywhere nowadays?
I think so. I've always believed that. Obviously, your percentages are much greater if you go with the tried and proven, but historically, so many of our great sires, our great horses, come from, if not obscure beginnings, nevertheless not the most sales-worthy ones.
Do you find that a lot of the buyers nowadays seem to be doing a lot of homework prior to coming here?
Very much so, very much so. To some degree at their own expense, because most of their homework is either video or computer or internet related, whereas we find that we see fewer inspections of the horses themselves prior to the sale. The vast majority of trainers, in my opinion, do their work right at the sale, which, in my opinion, is probably the worst environment to look at a horse.
Now, no one has seen more catalogs than yourself. Where does the 2008 catalog rank in terms of quality and overall buyability?
Oh, I think it's our biggest and our strongest catalog ever. In terms of high quality, trotters, pacers, colts, fillies, diversity, just every area, sire stakes, eligibilities. I don't think we've ever been near as close.
You know, I'm thinking back to some of the first sales I went to. There's no substitute for watching Billy Houghton looking at the horse's legs and walking around the horse. Those days may not be as plentiful as they used to be, but that's a good memory there, and that's might be one of the reasons he was so successful.
Yeah, one of the great Billy Houghton stories was maybe my fifth or sixth year at Hanover. At that time, Billy used to visit all of the farms before the sale. He'd look at every yearling catalog, and by the time he got to Harrisburg, he'd have a pretty good line on every horse in the sale. Well, one year he lost his catalog, and this involved a couple weeks' work, and he came back and did it all again.
And he had a penchant for remembering every horse's name too when they raced.
Yes. He was in my opinion, the most unique human being I've ever known. He worked harder, played harder than any person I've ever known. He got along with everybody, and if you couldn't be a friend of Billy Hutton, you couldn't be a friend of anybody.
In 1973, Hanover Shoe Farm had Super Bowl and Albatross come here together. Now last year and this year, Donato, Hanover, and Some Beat Somewhere. Is that comparison somewhat alike in your mind?
I would certainly think so. They're at the time, Albatross and Super Bowl were among the greatest horses that ever lived, and I think certainly the same applies to Donato and Some Beach.
Well, I can't see if Murray's fingers are crossed, but we're all hoping for a good sale. Murray, thanks for stopping by, and continued success here at Harrisburg.
Thank you, Bob. My pleasure.
The Bow River 14-karat gold fine jewelry collection has some of the most unique custom equine jewelry designs. With the master craftsmanship of our designers, we provide a piece of jewelry you'll treasure for years to come. We use state-of-the-art equipment, hand finishing, and quality stones to give you the craftsmanship in a piece of jewelry that you will enjoy. Our designs seek to capture the world of horses and the relationship they have with their owners. Wearing one of these unique designs will reflect this. Our satisfaction guarantee ensures your complete satisfaction with our products. If you're not satisfied with our merchandise, return it to us in its original condition for an exchange or full refund within 30 days of purchase. You can be assured that our prompt and professional service will provide the service you expect.
Time now for the Black Book today by the numbers. And Holly, you have some very interesting numbers from the sale this year.
I'm going to hit you with some numbers right now. We have 57 sires here in the yearling sale. 6 of them are horses of the year, including Triple Crown winning, no pun intended. 4 Hall of Fame dams are in this sale, 4 of them. 4 straight years, the richest yearling of the season sold right here at Harrisburg. Now, there's only 2 Mach 3 colts, Sam, in the entire sale. Remember, Some Beat Somewhere sire is Mach 3. 10.2% of all the yearlings sold are by first crop sires. That's 120 out of 1,137. Here's a stat you might like. Of the last 45 $200,000 yearlings sold in the sport, 33 of those 45 were trotters, which leads me to believe the Hambletonian purse, the Canadian Trotting Classic purse going up, and a lot of overseas interest coming here to Harrisburg. And last but not least, history was made last year. We had 5 $300,000 or higher trotting yearlings sold by 5 different sires. That had never happened before.
Well, the demand for trotters is always strong, especially with the international aspect of the trotting breed, and I would expect those trends to continue.
Well, that's what we have yearling sales for. We don't really know what's coming. We'll just see what happens next.
One other thing about numbers when it comes to this yearling sale is the demand in the slot-infused stakes and rich programs, like Pennsylvania, like Ontario. Delaware comes to mind where they go for the big slot purses, and those yearlings are always in high demand because of that.
Well, I think that's what makes yearling sales great, the unpredictability of it all.
So we hope you enjoy more of the Black Book today. We'll find out how things go as the sale progresses here at Harrisburg.
We're joined by the one and only George Siegel, Mr. Brittany Farms himself. George, how's 2008 been for you? I know you were the leading owner in the sport just 2 years ago.
2008 has been okay.
Okay.
Yes. Good News Lady has been a real pleasure this year, but I haven't had any standouts like Arts Place in Western Hanover.
Yeah, and you just mentioned those 2 names, and at this yearling sale coming up here, they're quite prominent, and I was wondering if you think there's going to be a premium on their yearlings now that they're both gone, and include in there, if you can, Winsong's Legacy. Some big names no longer with us.
Correct. In Lexington, they sold very strong, especially Arts Place. tried to buy a couple and couldn't buy them because somebody was outbidding us all the time. That surprised me.
You think great horses can come from anywhere nowadays?
Absolutely. I would say that sires are different than great horses. Not all great horses are sires. And some of the greatest horses we've ever had have not turned out to be very good sires. Now, people say they know the reason, their gaits weren't that great, etc. But I tell you, I can't tell you the reason.
How much of finding the right horse at the sale is homework, and how much is lady luck?
Well, obviously, there's luck in everything. I think getting the right trainer or person to advise you on what horse to buy is the most important thing. And then you got to do your homework.
George Siegel, nice having you with us, and I expect many more big years from you and Brittany Farms.
Well, Bob, I'm a young 70. I'm ready to go.
Great. Keep up the good work.
Okay.
We're with Jeff Stein of Preferred Equine on the eve of the first session here at Harrisburg. Obviously, what's on everybody's mind is the stock market and the big downturn in the economy. Is that going to have a major impact on us, or what do you think?
In terms of this sale, I think the market will be pretty good. Last year was exceptionally strong, and this year I look at the top end to hold its own, and I think you'll see a trickle-down effect, primarily at the bottom end. And I know a lot has changed with the Canadian dollar and the euro, but the one thing I've noticed, and I think you saw it a lot in Kentucky, is the people in the business are very, very committed, very passionate, are very resilient. I would say that the sale will be very strong.
And in some ways, when you think about it, a yearling can actually be a great investment too, especially if you have a broodmare or plenty of pedigree as far as potential down the road other than racing.
Yeah, and I think one thing to keep in mind with all the uncertainty and all the economic markets in the world, the one thing that people in our business know for sure is that the stakes programs, the sire stakes programs, the money is there. The money will be there next year, be there the year after, be there the following year. So in terms of investment, you know what you have to race for. And you look around, you look in Pennsylvania, you look in New York, you look in Ontario. I mean, the money has really never been better in this sport. So I think that's a big incentive or a big impetus for people to purchase yearlings.
Now, at your consignment, what's getting the most traffic? The trotting colts, the rock and roll Hanovers? What do you see people looking at the most?
Well, I think, getting back to your other point, I think a lot of people are more cognizant of stakes programs today. I think, the PA horses get a lot of attention. The New York horses get a lot of attention. And of course, when you have a first crop sire like Rock and Roll Hanover, everybody wants to see the rock and rolls. And they look the part, so I would anticipate them selling very well here.
Well, what a lot of people don't know about Jeff Stein, he is a huge runner. I know you work from 6 in the morning till midnight here. Do you still run your 10 miles a day when you're at Harrisburg?
I do curtail my schedule a little bit here. I run by the river here. Instead of running 10 miles, I try to get in 4 miles every day here. But as the weeks and the days get longer down here, it gets a little bit more difficult. But for 7 days down here, I'm sure I'll get out 5 of them.
Well, the sale is a marathon. He's a marathon runner. He'll be just fine. Jeff Stein, best of luck. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Tim.
Appreciate it.
I'm joined by Joe Geiser from Racehorse Conditioning Systems. Joe, tell us about the product.
We provide 2 products, both of which are intended to help the trainer focus on specific areas of training. We have polar horse heart monitors that you just simply snap on the horse. You can record the heart rate while working, standing, resting, traveling, and it tells you what's going inside the horse from a standpoint of its heartbeat. The second, the product that we sell is a hydraulic resistance cart. It's a jogging cart that through a hydraulic system you can apply resistance, so allow the horse to work harder and go slower.
Now, these new products, they've been out before?
They've been out before, but we are the first folks that we believe that are blending the 2 products together to form a system.
And what names, so to speak, have you used it so far?
Good question. Tron Smedshammer, Jimmy Takter, Paul Kelly, Gary Miller, Lauren Allen, Travis Alexander, and the list is growing.
And you have a booth at Harrisburg during the week?
We do. We're here during the week right next to Barry Brown's office in the exhibition hall.
Okay, so we'll stop by and you'll give us a little more information on this.
Appreciate it, Bob.
Okay, great, Joe. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Okay. The Breeders' Crown is coming up November 29th. I'm joined by Gregory Peck, who is the likely and probable favorite in the 2-year-old colt trotting division, Muscle Hill. How's he doing, Greg?
He's doing very well. It's just we're going to qualify him a week from Friday at Gateway. Unfortunately, this time of the year in this area, we don't have a track to go to. A big track, I should say, and it's an issue. So we'll get a qualifier in him there and see how he comes out of it and go from there. But the target is that.
Well, judging by the way he went around the track in a Peter Horton, he certainly knows the surface and certainly likes it.
Well, and I'm proud of him for that it was a big thing. That's a race that I really wanted to win and I wanted to do on the world's greatest harness stage, that is the Meadowlands, and he did it there. You see a lot of colts, I'm proud of him, the fact he did it there. He went to Lexington and he did it there as well.
Yeah, and Muscle Yankee's having a big year, isn't he? Dewey, Cheatham and Howe, you, and now Federal Flex, all over the place.
Well, he's really the horse of today. There's no doubt about it. If you want to hit a home run, he seems to be the one to go to because, as you say, he did it with Dewey, Cheatham and Howe, and then along comes Muscle Hill and Federal Flex, who won up in Canada, is supposed to be really good as well. And, he's everywhere, Muscle Yankee, that's for sure.
Now, didn't Muscle Hill come out of this sale last year?
Yeah, he was at Winback, hit 199 for $55,000.
Okay, now, you have yourself a really nice 2-year-old a year after going to the yearling sale. How do you resist the temptation to over-race him? Obviously, he's got a lot of talent, but you want to make sure you have something in reserve for the 3-year-old season.
Well, I want to win the Hamiltonian.
Yeah.
And now you have to look at him as a stallion as well, so he has to be managed accordingly. Like people say, why didn't you go up to the Valley Victory? Why didn't you go to the Wellwood? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you? The Matron is on and stuff like that. They've gotten more and more thoroughbred-like. I think you end up with less starts of higher quality. And fortunately, he seems to be able to race that way. Let's hope it continues, that he can seem to come in off a layoff and go well again.
Now, when you come back to the sale the very next year, same place, Harrisburg, do you realistically expect to find another one, or how are you handling that deal?
Well, that's hard, and I think that if you go looking for one who's like him, you're probably not going to find it. Or if you go and you buy the one you think, oh, he's just like Muscle Hill, chances are he won't be. Remember, Bob, you're a statistician type, it's statistically improbable business.
Sure.
So that's what makes it difficult. So, what Muscle Hill's assets might be, a liability of another horse and vice versa. So they're all individuals, but you got to say, what can I do to improve that probability of them being good?
Well, best of luck to you in the Breeders' Crown and maybe more importantly, the 2009 Hamiltonian. Gregory Peck.
I hope so.
Joined by Robin Chat from Odds On Stable. And Robin, last couple of years here at Harrisburg, you made a big splash here. Mystical Sunshine, Windy Lane Hanover,
Yes.
to name a couple, Miss Wisconsin. Tell us about those mares and what's your focus this year?
Well, the breeding end of our industry has always been intriguing to us, and the trotting market is quite good. We're hoping it's good this year. So we thought we'd go in the direction of acquiring the high-end mares at the direction of Carter Doer and see if we couldn't sell some nice colts and watch them grow.
Kind of nice to see a Windy Lane Hanover, colt or filly, or a Mystical Sunshine grow up and do some good. It kind of gives you a good feeling,
I think it
especially
will.
since these were such nice race mares on the racetrack.
Well, it's exciting because for me as a race fan and watching Windy Lane and Mystical Sunshine, I mean, they're just great mares to watch.
When you put a limit on a horse, does that really mean it? Is it etched in stone, that limit, or is that flexible?
No, for us it's etched in stone. We decide what we think the value is on a horse, and that's it. And if it goes beyond what we believe the value of that horse is, then so be it. There's always another horse to buy.
So this week we're looking at we're looking at yearlings, looking at selling, looking at racehorses, a little bit of everything. How's it
A little bit of everything. It's been a lot of work going through the books up until now, but we bought a couple of Payson fillies at Kentucky. We're looking at a few here. Brood mares always, if the right ones are out there. If they're not, then so be it. And see what there is for racing over the winter.
Maybe another odds-on Charmaine, or make it brief in there. You never know.
Oh, yeah, you never know about that.
Okay,
That'd be
Robin
nice.
Chad, thanks so much for stopping by, and continued success and good luck this week at the sale.
Thanks, dear.
For 55 years, the man to my left has been here at Harrisburg for the Standardbred Horse Sales Company auction. This is Paul Spears. And Paul, how did you become an executive with the Horse Sales Company?
Well, I became president in 1968 when Lawrence Shepard died, and he was the one who really started the sale company. He was one of the founders of Hanover Shoe Farms, and they needed a place to sell their yearlings, and that's why he started this sale company. And then he had a partner in the sale company called Bowman A. Brown Sr., and they both unfortunately died in the same year, 1968. And Mr. Shepard had made me a director of the sale company prior to 68 while he was still alive. But then when Mr. Shepard died in 1968 and Mr. Brown died at the same time, or in the same year, then I became president of the sale company, and I stayed that as for the next 30 years.
So the sale started basically just to sell the Hanover yearlings. It was probably a one-day affair, and you told me earlier that you sold tack and harnesses and equipment.
Right.
Can you, in your wildest dreams, ever imagine it would evolve to what it is today?
No, there's no way you could predict what this has grown into. In the beginning, we sold over in the big arena, and the acoustics over there were just terrible. We didn't even have a now selling sign up over there. And most of the time, I don't think people even knew what the bid was until they signed the sales slip. And in those days, if you signed the sales slip, you better have the money to pay for it.
Paul, are there some other stories you remember that come to mind from your years here?
Yeah, I remember a good friend of mine, Jim Harrison, one of the real great people in this business.
And an excellent pedigree man, too.
Oh, he knew pedigrees better than anybody I ever knew. And a man by the name of Leonard Buck also owned a farm down close to Hanover. And he was a good customer at our sales. And Leonard came to the sale this one year and asked Jim Harrison to bid on a yearling for him. And so Jim said sure, he would bid on it, and the horse came up. Jim bid and went over and said to Mr. Buck, I bought that colt for you. And Mr. Buck said, well, what colt are you talking about, Jim? The one I told you to bid on hadn't come up yet. So it was a mistake, and so Mr. Buck said, well, it's okay, Jim, don't worry. When the colt comes up, you go ahead and bid on him, and I'll take the colt that you did buy. So he signed for it, and later that horse he changed the name of it, and I forget the original name, but he changed it to No Error, and you could look it up, but he turned out to be a pretty darn good horse anyway.
Well, Paul, you are one of the guys who have blazed the way for all of us in harness racing today. On behalf of everyone, we appreciate the work that you've done, not only developing this sale, but the sport in general. And thank you so much for taking a few minutes to join us. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, Sam. Thank you so much.
You bet. Hi again, everyone, and welcome to the Black Book today. Well, Holly, one day in the books here at Harrisburg, and much as you predicted, the top end was still strong.
You know, the buyers at the highest end here are an impatient lot. They know at the end of the month the Breeders' Crown's going at $6.50 a pop for 2-year-olds, and they want in and they're willing to pay for it, and with a continued preference towards trotters. Here's a stat stamp. In the last 2 years, there were 45 yearlings I sold for $200,000 or more. 33 of those 45 were trotters. That's continuing here. However, the middle and lower end seem to be taking a pinch.
And chances are that we'll see more of the same on the second day here at Harrisburg on the Black Book today.
Bob Marks from Part1 Farm has joined us. And Bob, this sale here in Harrisburg, it looks to me like, in terms of first crop performers, it looks like Rock and Roll Hanover has the stage pretty much to himself.
I would have to say that Rock and Roll probably got one of the greatest books any first crop sire ever got. He's got some of the most magnificent mares, you know, of recent time. Bunny Lake is one. Classic Wish, the dam of two major stallions in Bettor's Delight, no pan intended. There's a Worldly Beauty by Rock and Roll. So I would think that just given the amount of, the quality of the mares that he got, that he would have to be the imposing first crop sire here.
And early returns, not just from you, but in general, from his horses on the ground were, tell us about that.
They're very favorable. Most of the Rock and Rolls, they tend to look like him. They've got his chest. When we filmed them, they move very well, and they have a certain strength to them.
If you look at the trotting situation this year, Muscles Yankee is everywhere. Dewey Cheatham and Howe is probably the leader right now, heading into the last month for Horse of the Year. Federal Flex just won the Valley Victory. You have Muscle Hill with Peter Horton and twice winning in Kentucky. Muscles Yankee's fastball is better than ever, it looks like.
Muscles Yankee, one of the things that we noticed, and we even advertised it, was his connection with Speedy Crown. Even though he's a Valley Victory, he does not look like a Valley Victory. He looks like his grandfather, Speedy Crown, and he seems to have acted like Speedy Crown in terms of the way he transmits his gait, and I guess that's led into the longevity of the horse, because there's no question that he is the #1 sire right now. And if you want to win the Hambletonian, I think the first thing you're going to look for is one of the Muscles Yankees. It may be one of mine or maybe one of somebody else's, but that's probably the first thing you'll look for.
We'll tell Muscles Yankee when you see him that we all said hello.
Okay. He'll respond.
Joined by Mike Kimmelman from Blue Chip Farms, and wow, what a busy 12 months it's been for you, Mike, starting with last year, the Final Four in the Breeders' Crown, right up to now. Lots going on at the farm. Let's start with Art Major having a fantastic year. Santana Blue Chip, Major in Art, and Artificial setting that world record.
No, it was a very exciting year, and he had a really good start with his 2-year-olds last year, and that ended great, like you said, and then to come back this year and have more really good 2-year-olds and the race where Artificial set the world record. The Meadowlands maybe one of the best races and what a lot of other people have maybe ever seen.
The expectations for Art Major were real high, and I actually think he's gone higher with his results.
I would say that he's certainly made all of us very happy, and it was fun racing, and it's even more fun watching his Wolves race, so it's pretty exciting.
How does the catalog for Blue Chip Farms look this year, 2008, as compared to previous?
I think every year it gets a little better. We try to keep it fresh, and we move a certain portion out, even if we get rid of some mares that end up being bad ones to sell. We try to move some along every year and get new ones, and I think it's been an evolving process, and it gets stronger for us every year.
We're coming up on the 25th anniversary of the passing of Most Happy Fella. I think was the greatest sire I've ever seen in my lifetime. His name may not be forgotten through this catalog. You see a lot of Most Happy Fella influence in here.
On sire side, through the Camp Fella line, through any descendants of On the Road Again and No Nukes from Oil Burner, it's tremendous. In Cam's Card Shark and Western Hanover and American Ideal, whose first crop we'll have, next year, Rock and Roll Hanover. They all came, it all goes back to there, and it's a lot of fun to see that.
Well, hopefully you have another Most Happy Fella at the farm or two. Mike Kimmelman, continued success, and good luck this week at Harrisburg.
Thank you very much.
Nobody has had more fun this year than Brent McGrath. The man behind Some Beach Somewhere is joining us now. And you told me at Lexington, you said, hey, after this horse, I can't buy another one. I'll never have one like it. Yet here you are at Harrisburg. What's the story?
Well, I'm sticking with my original plan. I'm not buying. A couple of partners, or one of the partners, would like to get a filly to possibly breed to Beach. I am taking the year off when I'm done with him. I'm going back to my regular job, and I'm going to do that for a year. And this time next year, my wife and I will be back in the market to buy a couple of yearlings, and that's the plan.
Let's rewind to last fall when you were mapping out the game plan for 2008 for Some Beach Somewhere. Has everything worked out how you'd hoped?
Yeah, the only thing that obviously it was a big disappointment to get beat in the Meadowlands pace. He might have won the greatest race of his life in the Meadowlands pace and didn't get the win to show for it. He did redeem himself with the world record back in Lexington. You know, he hurt his foot there. I was planning on giving him a couple months off after the Meadowlands pace, and he ended up, when he hurt the foot, I had to race him in an OSS event, which then led to the Confederation Cup, which led to a world record. So yeah, I mean, everything, it's hard to complain about the one defeat that he's had.
Brent, at Lexington at the Red Mile, when you equaled the all-age world record in the race, and then the next week you could feel the tension and the excitement in the air. Can you believe the impact this horse has had on our sport?
No, I can't. And you know, I was a little disappointed in Lexington the second week, the second week, and I really thought that race. When you looked at that race on the program, I thought it would have set up like a 25 and a piece quarter. Dally actually chased us to the quarter 2 starts before that in Mohawk in 25 and 2. He's got the inside of us this week. We're looking for a little bit of cover for a ways. You know, they go up the quarter in 26 and 3, put us up there in 26 and 3, or 27 and 3, with no shot at a world record then. You know, and I said to Paul at the time, I said, you know, if they don't get up to the quarter fast, just race him, and he did. And he kicked home in 26 and 2. You remember, of course, in 47. Getting back to your question, no, I can't believe that we have a horse that has the kind of impact, or he's had the kind of impact. But he deserves it. He deserves the credit that he's getting. He's a great horse. He's healthy. He's happy. He's easy to manage. He's easy to drive. Well, just yahoo.
November 29th will be a bittersweet night. It's going to be his last race. It's the Breeders' Crown. I'm sure you're very excited about it, but you're probably kind of sad about it too.
Well, we were just talking about that 15 minutes ago. Paul and Lynn and Rhonda and I just drove in, and we were just talking about it, that it is going to be, I want to get home. I want to get back to work. I want to get back to my home in Nova Scotia. But, you know, to think that we're down to his last 2 races or 3 races, it really hasn't sunk in. And when we turn him over to Jim Simpson at Hanover, it'll be certainly some mixed emotions. There's no question.
Well, Brent, you have been phenomenal with the media all year long. You've answered everybody's questions. You've addressed every reporter that's wanted to talk to you. You've handled it with class and dignity, and we certainly appreciate it. Congratulations on a great run.
Thanks, Sam. I appreciate it.
A relatively new face, but not a new name here at Harrisburg, is Frank Antonacci. The family has been in the business for years. 25 years old, Frank. Just tell us about this year for yourself, campaigning Craze. A great year.
It's been fantastic, really exciting, and you know, we all want to win the Hamiltonian. Just have a horse that to compete in it was great, and a horse that was you know, very competitive with one of the best horses we've seen in a long time was a great thrill for me. That's for sure.
I gotta be honest with you, mid-stretch, I thought Craze was gonna go by Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe too. I really thought you had it there.
Yeah, you know, like we got out a little late there, but Dewey was spectacular that day, and it was just it was good that it was a horse good enough to chase him down the stretch. You know?
Now Craze goes to the Breeders' Crown?
Yeah, well, he go to the Matron first, and then Breeders' Crown. Yes.
Okay, and then after that, he's heading to?
He's going to head to Blue Chip and Stan Stud in New York.
So you know what they're going to say next year, Frank Antonacci? They're going to tell you, hey, listen, you're a really great horse. What have you done for me lately? Now what?
Yeah, exactly. You're only as good as your last win, right?
So it's a good place to be, though, to replenish the barn right here at Harrisburg for Harrisburg, especially the yearling sale. What are we looking at?
Well, we're looking at you know, mostly trotting colts, some trotting fillies, and you know, we're getting into the pacing game a little more too. So maybe some pacing fillies or something like that. This is the NBA draft, the NFL draft, whatever you want to say. And you know, the success of your stable comes down to the next 3 days, and in the sale in Kentucky also. You know, if you don't have your homework done going into those places, you're gonna have a long year.
Give us a rough estimate of how many right now that you'll be looking at, say, in the next couple of days.
Probably 200-300. You know, a lot of horses. It's a lot of work, but you know, if you want to have some success, you got to do it.
And a lot of times, you got to find out what you don't want is almost as important as what you do want.
Yeah, exactly. You know, Pat Waldo looks at some horses for us and a couple other people, and you know, you try to whittle it down to your core group that you want to focus on, and then you got to nitpick them. So.
Well, Frank Antonacci, we want to thank you for stopping by, and hopefully we'll be seeing you in years to come here at Harrisburg and in the Winner's Circle, maybe even the Hamiltonian.
That'd be great. Look forward to it.
Well, one guy who's been interviewed quite a bit this year is the man to my right, Ray Schnitker, the co-owner, trainer, and driver, of course, of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. And Ray, when the season started, there were so many expectations for Dewey. He's lived up to every single one of them, in your mind too, I'm sure.
Yeah, basically, it's been a miracle. Especially when you see all the horses that were listed in the top 10 that fell by the wayside. It just shows you how hard it is to do it. And It's all the horse, nothing I did. He's just a great horse.
Well, the horse has bounced back from a little bit of adversity, too. When he lost the elimination for the Canadian Trotting Classic, a lot of people said, oh, maybe Dewey's over-raced, maybe he's tired or whatever, but he bounced right back and won the final, and it almost gave you the option to race him from off the pace since the winning streak was over.
Yeah, I think it's awful hard when you got a winning streak because you don't want to put him in a position where you're going to get locked in and get beat. So most horses you got to race from behind to keep them fresh, and actually probably worked out in the long run better for me.
Well, in the Kentucky Futurity, in the first heat, you had the outside post. You wanted to kind of race him from off the pace. You didn't intend to close from 1/8 of a mile behind the rest of the field, though. You were a long way back.
Actually, I was trying to leave a little bit, and the whole field left underneath him, and then I changed plans, took him back, and it just seemed like I got one horse after another pulled in front with no pace, and he just stormed home. It wasn't a great drive. I don't know if I could have done anything different, but the horses did everything that day.
Now, did you think you got up in that photo when they hit the finish line?
Yeah, I thought I was up for sure. I couldn't figure out why Per Henderson was walking on the tracks, waving his arms or whatever, but I was 99.9% sure I won.
And Ray, you're kind of a throwback. You're one of the last guys that owns them, trains them, drives them, trucks them, swims them, the whole boatload. Big advantage for you to know your horses when you're in the sulky behind them.
I think it really helps trotters when they're two, especially. Maybe after that it doesn't. Or if you can get the same top, catch driver, which is hard to do though in this day and age. So at 2, I think I got a big advantage. And after that, the horses got to show up, and I guess anybody can drive them basically.
Well, the Dewey era is about coming to an end. He'll be retired to stud at the end of the season. What is the one highlight that sticks out in your mind the most, if there is one?
Probably the winning that Hamwell, because I always said that to me. Now I know what a football player feels like when they win the Super Bowl or the Stanley Cup in hockey or whatever. It was just, I guess all the years leading up to it. I'm glad I got it when I was 50, not when I was 20. I wouldn't appreciate it. And you see all the stuff that can go wrong, and just worked. Everything went right that day, and he went in there undefeated, and he's the first horse to do that. So I can always bring back memories on that.
And the Dewey celebrations, the after-race parties are legendary. Which one was the best party?
Hamwell was pretty good, but we've had some doozies.
I'll bet so. Well, Ray Schnecker, congratulations on a great year, a great job with Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe, and best of luck.
Yep, thank you.
Hall of Famer Michael Chance is joining me, and when you look through the yearling catalog, you see a lot of sires here, a lot of big names. This man has driven a lot of the sires here. Let me ask you about a couple. Cantab Hall, last year was his first crop. What's your impression of his first crop, and what kind of horse was he?
Well, Cantab Hall was the perfect horse there. He raced, I think it's 23 or 24 start in his life, never made a break. And I think he was first or second about 22 time out of 24. It was just a perfect gaited horse, smart horse, good head on him, nice gaited horse, and all his offspring are the same weight. He's got a lot of good fillies and some good colt there. He had a tremendous start for the first year.
Western Ideal's got a lot of representation in sale. Western Ideal, yesterday I was talking to his trainer, Brett Pelling, who's here, and he told me that was the greatest horse that he's ever trained.
Yeah, it's probably the greatest age pacer definitely that I've driven in my lifetime. Just a perfect horse, and he's a tremendous sire.
And for those people who think that Michael Chance is heading to Florida and for some retirement community, think again. I think you just had your best money season at the Red Mile, right?
Yeah, the Red Mile, I did tremendous there, but that's what I was planning to do. I came back like in May with the young horses with Ronnie Gerfine when he came from Florida, and we went up to out west there and Lexington and Chicago and all the fair, and I did very, very good at Lexington. So, I'm doing what I want to do, and everything worked out to what I planned.
He's not sipping from the fountain of youth, he's swigging here. This is Michael Chance here, one of the all-time greats, about to hit 10,000 wins. And good luck at the sale here. Maybe we'll have another champion heading your way.
Hi again, everyone. Sam McKee, joined by Bob Hollywood Hayden, and welcome to the Black Book today. And it is the final day of the 2008 yearling sale here at Harrisburg. Holly, if you haven't bought a colt yet, now is the time to jump right in.
That's right. Now, 5 years ago, who would have guessed that Vivid Photo, who won his number 853, would go on to a $3 million career, which included a Hambletonian win. This year, Arts Place's last crop goes under the gavel, and hip number 1119, the appropriately named Arts World, is his final yearling ever after a great siren career. And Sam, if you want to be a major player in 2009, time right now. Get up off your hands and put them in the air.
Approximately 375 yearlings will sell. There's something for every taste and every budget, so we hope you enjoy the Black Book today.
Joined by Steve Jones from Cameo Hill Farms, and before I ask you about Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe, who you bred, a couple of big names prior to Dewey that were bred at your farm?
Well, we raised and sold Goalie Jeff. We raised and sold House that Ruth built. That would probably be the two best prior to Dewey.
How surprised are you that Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe's career has wound up as spectacular as it is?
I'm amazed every start. I was, when he won the New Jersey Sire Stake final at 2, I was thrilled with that. I was surprised when he went to Lexington and won at 2, and this year he's amazing.
Hambletonian, Canadian Trotting Classic, just an amazing horse, the front runner likely for Horse of the Year. Heading to the Breeders' Crown. Will you be there with that filly, Pedigree Snob, too?
No, Pedigree Snob, we stopped with Pedigree Snob the middle of September after the Pennsylvania final. We stopped with her. She's eligible to everything next year, and David and I decided that we really didn't want to burn her up, and we'd quit with her while she was healthy and happy.
And that's David Sharp you're talking about. Now, Pedigree Snob, that can't be named after you, right?
Well, Dr. Egloff at times has referred to me as a Pedigree Snob, so
It stuck.
Yeah, I think it did.
What about the sale at Harrisburg? You come here, I mean, even with a Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe, you got to have your homework done, don't you?
Yeah, I was here all day yesterday looking at horses. I'm looking to buy a couple of well-bred fillies, hopefully to breed to Dewey eventually when they're done racing, and maybe a nice pacing filly as well.
I didn't hear trotting colt in there anywhere.
No, not trotting colt. I'll let the trainers work it out and figure out who's the best, and then I'll buy into them 2 years from now.
That's right. You don't have to actually buy them here because you can breed a couple of your own.
That's right. I've got a few at home, and it's less risk for me anyway to buy in when they're proven that they can get the job done.
Well, here's a guy you want to follow around at the sale, Steve Jones from Cameo Hills Farm. Good luck at the sale, and hopefully another Dewey somewhere in the future.
Thanks, Bob.
Well, it's official, folks. The Black Book has officially entered the internet age at Harrisburg here for 2008. We're joined now by Jennifer Krentler of the Pennsylvania Standardbred Breeders Association. And Jennifer, the Black Book Today website is absolutely spectacular. There are so many features available for both potential buyers and consigners and everybody involved with the sale. One of the neatest is the search capabilities. I'm from New Jersey. Let's say I just want to focus in on New Jersey sired pacing colts. Can you do that?
Absolutely. If you want to look in the search engine, of course you can bring it to so many different types of things here, and you can go to the advanced. If you're looking for the trotting colts, we can do that. Eligibility, if you're looking for the New Jersey, and then just view results, and it'll drop down all of your selected pedigrees for that.
Every year over at Murray Brown's office, there's always 100 people standing there in line trying to fill out paperwork, the buyer's forms, the credit forms, the purchase deals, the whole boatload. Could I get a head start in advance by downloading those forms on the website?
Yes, any form that you find in the actual Black Book can be found on the website. You can click on the buyer's link, and of course go to your forms. And when you click on that, that is going to bring up all of your forms that you would need that would be found right in the Black Book. The registration form, whether it be local or international, the authorization of agent, the insurance form, or the wired funds, which is one that is actually, a lot of people request this. So you can bring this up right at home, and it'll give you all the information on how you can wire your funds in for the horses.
Jennifer, let's say I come to the sale and I need a trainer. I need an expert to look at my horses or what have you. Is there a listing somewhere where I could find somebody to hook up with?
Again, right on the website or on the DVD that we have, and you can pull it down by the whole list of trainers so that you can find someone that will suit your needs.
I spilled coffee on my Black Book a couple of years ago and the pages stuck together. Can I just download the pages on the internet?
You can. You can go by the individual pedigrees. You can pull it by the specific day you're looking, whether it be the yearlings or the mixed sale. Just anything that you need to look for specifically, we can get that for you right off of the website or the DVD.
Boy, it seems like it's so easy now, just a mouse click away to find out all the information I need to sell a horse, to buy a horse, or whatever about the Black Book. The website is www.theblackbook.com. Be sure and stop and see Jennifer and find out more.
Look who's joining us. Paul McDonnell is here at Harrisburg. And Paul, a lot of people here would love to go into a stall and pick out a horse and wind up 2 or 3 years later and say, hey, I got Sunbeat somewhere. Not that easy to do. He actually sold the first horse at the sale at the Lexington, didn't he?
That's right. He was number 1 on a Friday night, I believe, and you know, Brent was lucky enough to come away with him, and the rest is history.
And as a 2-year-old last year, first couple starts, he showed a lot of talent. What were you thinking early on with him?
Well, I was a little surprised by his first effort at Grand River Racetrack. It was a half-mile track, and I wasn't sure how he'd be on the half because he's such a big horse. But he just went around there like a loop and had no problem whatsoever, and went on to capture the final, which was the Battle of Waterloo.
And then we're heading now towards the Metro. Pretty good field going in there. A lot of eyes on you. And all of a sudden, 149-3, he just blew away a good field. That was kind of the race. That was kind of the start of the Sunbeat Somewhere legend.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, he was making his 4th lifetime start, and you know, he went wire to wire in 49-3. So, you know, for a 2-year-old to do something like that in only 4 starts, I think we were on the verge of seeing something really special.
Your best memory of Sunbeat Somewhere as we head towards the Breeders' Crown?
Oh, I have many of them. I mean, you know, the world record at Lexington, 46-4. I mean, if you think back to how many good horses were on that track over the years, and yet he stands alone as the fastest, I think that says something. The North America Cup, of course, is my hometown, right next door to me, and out Mohawk there, and the crowd came out to see him, and it was, you know, a spectacular evening, and there's many more.
And for the 1% of people who thought he might have been some kind of wild speed horse, he showed quite differently in a Messenger. That wasn't the case.
Yeah, I mean, he showed guts and determination in that race. He wasn't going to be denied. He came first over in a terrible weather, wind, rain. They threw everything at him, and he still wouldn't be denied.
Heading to the Breeders' Crown November 29th, the career comes to a close. What's that night going to be like, in a little bit of like a preview for you with Sunbeat Somewhere?
Well, it's going to be, you know, obviously I'm excited about going to the Breeders' Crown race, obviously, but on a second note, you know, it's going to be his last race, and, you know, I'm not really looking forward to that, but, you know, I think we'll see great things from him in the stud barn in years to come.
Man hasn't taken any credit for the drives and wins of Sunbeat Somewhere. I'm here to give him some of the credit, because I think when you win a lot of races, every time, if you do lose one, sometimes the driver gets a little bit into blame, maybe too much blame. Paul McDonnell, thanks for stopping by. Sunbeat Somewhere, a lot of people's choice for Horse of the Year.
When we walk into Harrisburg for the first day of the yearling auction, everything runs like clockwork. The horses are in the arena when they need to be. Everything's all set up. But the man who gets everything going is Dale Welk, the Director of Operations. This doesn't all happen by magic. You get to work on the setup, what, a week or 2 ahead of time?
We start at around 12 days ahead of time, 12 days before the sale starts.
Now, I look at the catalog, Dale. I see 2,400 horses. That means you got to have 2,400 stalls?
Well, we keep, right now we have around 1,850 in the building. And we're hoping, what we hope for is the first couple of days of yearlings, they ship out, you know, in a timely fashion so we can do the changeover on Wednesday night for the Thursday morning to the mixed horses.
1,800 stalls. I'm thinking about the bedding for those stalls. How much of that shredded paper does it take?
250 tons, and also 1,160 bags of shavings we use in the checkout stalls.
Dale, I always think of you as part magician, because when I leave Wednesday night after the last yearling session, when I get here Thursday morning at 8:30 a.m., all the broodmares and racehorses have moved over to the front. How in the world do you operate that transition?
Well, I actually start moving yearlings on Tuesday. We start moving some of the yearlings that sold Monday and early Tuesday morning up to our checkout barns. This gives the consigners a chance to work on their stalls and get them prepped for the mixed horses coming in. Then Wednesday, as soon as the sale's over, it's total chaos. I use 8 guys at the checkout. We have 4 guys checking horses out, 4 guys checking horses in. And there's about 30 of us moving horses back and forth during the night.
Looks like everybody knows their job and does it well.
I have a fantastic crew. Of course, my wife works in the office with me, which she's been in. She worked with Bradford Bloodstock. She worked with Phil Tully for years, and I have a crew, I have a nucleus of a crew that there's about 8 of them that's been here over 30 years. I have 2 guys here 40 years, and there's about 15 or 18 over 25 years.
One thing that makes this sale work so well, especially the transition from the yearlings to the broodmares, is the consigners. You've got a great nucleus of consigners here, and it's basically a partnership between them and the sale company.
Yes, it is, Sam. We couldn't do it without all their help, and the truckers do a fantastic job of moving the horses around. We all have to work together as a team, or Thursday morning wouldn't happen.
Well, not only do you have a fantastic crew, you've done a fantastic job of organizing everything over the years. Dale Welk, the man behind the sale here in Harrisburg, who deserves a lot of credit.
The Hall of Fame portion of the program is now underway with Mr. Ron Gerfine joining us here. Ron, the last 2 years we had 45 yearlings sell for $200,000. 33 of those 45 were trotters, which leads me to believe that there's a lot of Hambletonian dreaming going on for a lot of people. You won the Hambletonian 3 times. Is it a legitimate thing to spend big money for a trotter and hope to get to the Hambo, especially with the $1.5 million purse now?
Well, it's a pretty simple equation. A trotter has residual value. A pacer doesn't. You go out, you buy a pacer for $200,000, and if he can pace in 56 as a 2-year-old, he's worth $5,000. You go out and buy a trotter, and if he gets to the races and he's got some pedigree, you have a European market that you don't have with a pacer.
Winning the Hambletonian 3 times, what is the most asked question of Ron Gerfine? And let me take one wild guess. What's the secret to winning the Hambletonian?
That's not the question. The most asked question is who is a better filly, Continental Victory or Moneymaker? And I'm not answering.
Well, we're going to go on record as asking who was better, Continental Victory or Moneymaker, because people forget a lot of times they were the same age back in 1996. They were both 3-year-olds, and she went in and dominated in the Oaks, and then your filly went in Continental Victory and had what I called the best day I ever saw a horse had for that day.
Yeah, she did have a wonderful day. I'll never forget it as long as I live.
Unbelievable.
But, you know, you're comparing apples and oranges. You know, my filly was a strong filly, but not nearly as big as Moneymaker. Moneymaker was just a huge, easygoing.
Built for the duration.
Built for the duration.
Yeah.
And she was just a spectacular mare. They raced against each other maybe 3 or 4 times, and I think I beat her by a combined 78 lengths or something like that. When the day Continental Victory won the Hamiltonian, she trotted in 52. The Oaks for Moneymaker went in 55 and 1, 55 and 2, or something like that. So I don't think they were comparable at 2 and 3. But you know, you can't make a comparison between a horse that didn't race at 4 and one that raced at 4, 5, and 6. So.
One more question for you. Your mantelpiece, 3 Hambo trophies. Do you have room for another one there? Or?
I'd like to win one with a Cantab is what I'd like to do. Okay. That would make me very happy.
Okay, Ron Gerfine, thanks for stopping by. Good luck here at the sale.
Thank you so much.
I'm joined by trainer Linda Toscano. Linda, how's 2008 been treating you so far?
It's been a different kind of year, but it's been a good year. Instead of having one big horse, we've had kind of a bunch of blue-collar workers, so my whole barn is happy for a change.
Meant to Be Me, a nice one I've seen so far. He was 3rd in the Meadowlands Pace. You gotta like him.
Meant to Be Me is a really nice horse. He's a bit class conscious. When he's in his Jersey Sire Stake element, he's really, really good.
How much time have you put into that book, that catalog, prior to this week?
What I usually do is I bring it with me to Kentucky and I go through it every time I have a couple minutes and just kind of constantly looking through the page and familiarizing myself with the book. Then when I get home, I'm fortunate in that there's quite a few farms right around the area in which I'm stabled. So I kind of make the rounds and I try to see as many as I possibly can before I actually get here. So quite a bit of homework goes into it.
Is a catalog something like a program page at a racetrack? You kind of eliminate what you don't want right away and then narrow it down to some?
Yeah, I think we all have things that we certain like. I look for 2-year-old speed and a family and pedigree, of course, and then you match the horses that you're looking for to the people's orders that we have. So if my owners tell me that they like a New York bred pacing colt, then that's kind of what I target myself towards.
I noticed this year we have a lot more big screens here for the videos. That seems to help. A lot of people are interested in that.
Very good. Very good. Makes it much easier to look at them.
The videos can tell you what can a novice see? I mean, some guy 2 or 3 years in business might not be able to tell what difference between a horse going easy and not going easy, things like that.
Well, if you haven't had an opportunity to get to the farm, a video is going to give you an opportunity to see how they move, not on a carpet. You know, they're completely out of their element here at the sale, so they're a little bit frightened, and they're not just moving the way they normally would. So a video can kind of tell you how they move in a paddock, and also that head-on view is all important. So for a trotter, you're going to get to see whether they're line-gated, passing-gated, a pacer, whether they might come to their knees or whether they go clean.
Can you tell a horse's attitude? Can you tell anybody a horse's eyes? What can you tell when you pull them out of the stall as an experienced trainer?
Well, I think the first thing you look for is just the overall impression that a horse gives you. I think if you don't like the way the horse looks when he first comes out of the stall, don't try to make yourself like it. So, I mean, that's the first impression. And then after that, yeah, but they get tired of being here. I think that's where going to the farms make a huge difference, to see their attitude in their own environment.
And this year is the first crop of Rock and Roll Hanover, 2005 Horse of the Year. Are you looking at any of those?
Yeah, you have to. There's so many of them here. And he was bred to Who's Who in harness racing. So there's quite a few to pick from, and they're all different types, shapes, and sizes.
What is on the Linda Toscano wish list in terms of races to win, and maybe this will be the foundation point of those races?
Well, I've always been a sucker for the jug, so I think if there's one race in harness racing that I'd like to win, it would be the jug.
Okay, well, Rock and Roll Hanover could be a good way to go there. Linda Toscano, good luck at the sale. Thanks for stopping by, and continued success.
Thanks, Bob.
We're joined now by a very special guest here at Harrisburg, Shannon D'Antonio. And not only do you recognize the name and the program for owning some good horses, she is the racing analyst at Harris Chester, and you've become a celebrity in the industry because of that, haven't you?
Well, I don't think so. I don't see it that way, but it's certainly been a dream job and something I wanted to do for a long time. So for me, to go to work at a racetrack and get paid is just fun.
And in addition to doing the handicapping for every race and the interviews and what have you at Chester, you were involved in a show that was pretty popular in Pennsylvania, too.
We did. It just aired this year for the first time. It was called PA Harness Week, and it was just talking about all the local races in the sport, whether it be at Chester, at Pocono, and then we did a circuit called Around the Oval, and we showed any big races at the Meadowlands or up in Canada. And the show's still continuing. I don't do the show any longer, but it's something that if you're a fan of the sport, you've waited for a show like this for a long time.
You own some horses as well, including the best two-year-old trotter in the state of New York this year, Hit with the Ladies. Tell us a little bit about him and how you got involved.
Well, we came last year. I tend to buy 1 or 2 yearlings every year, and last year I partnered with a guy that trained my colt, my pacing colt, and did well with him, and I've known the guy a long time, so him and then a family friend, the three of us decided to just partner up, throw in a few bucks, have some fun, nobody was going to get hurt, and for $22,000 we bought a Malabar man who's 7 for 7. Don't tell my wife. And they didn't tell me about the name. They named it, and I saw the name on a vet bill. I said, don't tell me I own something named Don't Tell My Wife. I'm going to have some explaining to do.
And how much money did Don't Tell My Wife make this year?
$220,000.
And you own a third of that horse, so if I do the math, you should be able to buy something here at Harrisburg.
Yeah, so the wallet got bigger from last year, so we're here to, improve on what we bought last year. So it's going to be a tough act to follow, but a lot of fun.
Well, Shannon, you're a breath of fresh air. You've done a tremendous job at Harris Chester. You've been great for the industry, and best of luck with your horses and with your career, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Sam.
Joined by trainer Dwayne Dewey Marfisi. And Dwayne, tell us a little bit about what you're here at Harrisburg looking for.
Oh, we're looking for the home run horse, really. We've only got a few stalls left, and we're being selective on a few individuals. So,
when you have a horse like Dally, the Wilson winner, near $1 million earner, still going good at 3, how realistic is it for you to expect at a sale to replace and refill that stall?
It's tough, but me and Aaron Waxman have a good thing going. He's pretty good at pedigree, and I just look at the horse. I don't even really look at the book at all, and it seems to have been working effort between the two of us, so hopefully it'll continue. Of course, you need a lot of luck.
How much of a yearling sale for a buyer is work, homework, watching videos, and how much of it is a lottery ticket in reality?
I think a lottery ticket comes once in a while, but if you put hard work into it, you can select a correct individual. I mean, really be fussy about it, and statistically proven mares, proven racehorses, you can pick a horse that'll make you money.
We're looking at trotters or pacers primarily here, or which one?
Primarily pacers. I'm trying to lean towards the trot and breed as well. We've got a couple trotters in mind. I love trotters. I wish I had a barn full, but it hasn't directed that way yet.
So if you could win one race the next couple of years and maybe find that filly or colt here, what would that race be?
Oh, the Hambo, since I've been a kid, so maybe one day.
Okay, forget what he said about paces. He's looking for trotters. That's clinched it right there.
Yeah, no question.
Okay,
They're my favorite race.
Really appreciate you stopping by. Good luck with Dally and the Breeders' Crown, and hopefully you'll find that diamond in the rough trotter here.
Thank you.
At Harrisburg, you just never know who you're going to run into. And joining us now is one of the greatest trainers in the history of harness racing, Brett Pelling, who retired at a very young age a couple of years ago and moved back to Perth, Australia. Brett, it's great to see you here at Harrisburg, but the big question, what are you doing here?
Well, with the state of the economy, I think it was just more cheap tickets. And my daughter was never 100% comfortable with our move, and kept in touch with her friends, so I said to her, it was actually only on Monday, I said, you know what, cheap tickets, you want to make a run, let's go for it. And I said I can go to Harrisburg and visit some of my guys, and you can visit some of your friends and get it out of your system. See
And
how you
the
feel.
legacy of your guys that have done so well training include Nifty Norman, who worked for you for so many years, and you've had such an impact on other guys that are successful training horses now. Why is it that the Down Under guys were so successful? Work ethic, knowledge, or just pure talent?
Well, I think work ethic's a big thing. And I don't want to knock anyone else's work ethic, but there seems to be a real common denominator there where, you know, they get in and get it done, and a lot of them have stayed, you know, good friends and help each other, work with each other, and you know, staying on the upside of the business, no animosity, and you know, stay positive and you know, do the right thing. And I think that's what's really carried through.
And ironically, this year you come to Harrisburg is the first year that perhaps your greatest pacer, Rock and Roll Hanover, his colt cell, they look a lot like him. They're very, very handsome individuals.
Yeah, I've been standing in the ring there, seeing a few of them, and you know, between the bodies on the Rock and Rolls and the Western Ideal, I really think we're seeing a new era. I mean, these are big, big, strong horses.
Let's say perfect conditions, all three horses at the top of their game, the Ponderosa, Western Ideal, and Rock and Roll Hanover facing each other in a race. Who wins?
Well, I mean, they were three good horses. I'm just not too sure who you'd put in front. You know, Western Ideal, he had a real knack of gathering horses in, and Rock and Roll, he was sensational at gathering horses in. You know, he was probably a little quicker foot, never lost a race off a helmet, you know, and I really give him a lot of credit for that. Like I say, a three-horse race, who's in front? I would probably, if I was going to put my money on one, Western Ideal never let me down.
There was a rumor that you might actually start training thoroughbreds down under. Did you ever get involved in that?
I have actually a gentleman that I train for up here who lives in the same city, and since I've been there we've become really good friends, and I have a thoroughbred in partnership with him, but not on the training side. Even training the standardbreds in Australia, I own a few, and but I basically help a guy out a couple of days a week. If I'm not there, it doesn't matter, and do it that way. It's the professionalism of the business in America, I've found really, where I've been, is hard to duplicate. And to do what I did down there, it's just really not going to happen.
Well, Brett, it's great to see you. One of the most talented horsemen, one of the most talented trainers we've ever seen in the U.S. Hopefully we'll see you back in the sulky again here soon.
Yeah, young guy, you never know.
Thank you very much
All
for
right.
your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.